It started on a Thursday. Funny how the most ordinary days can end up being the ones that change everything. I was sitting in traffic, halfway home, when Lena texted me. Staying late. Big project? Don't wait up, red heart. I stared at that little heart for a good 10 seconds, like it was written in a foreign language. It used to mean something, that emoji. It used to mean she missed me, wanted me to wait up with her favorite wine poured and something terrible playing on Netflix. But that night, it felt off. She'd been staying late a lot lately. More meetings, more training sessions, more quick drinks with the team. And the thing is, I wanted to believe her. God knows I tried. But when you've been married for 14 years, your gut develops a kind of sixth sense. And mine? It was sounding alarms I couldn't ignore anymore. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I followed her. Not in a trench coat and sunglasses kind of way. No, I'm not that dramatic. I just showed up, said I was in the area and thought we could grab a bite. No hidden camera, no confrontation. Just a husband surprising his wife. Only, I wasn't the one surprised. She was sitting in the hotel lobby when I walked in, alone, laptop open, surrounded by files. She looked up and smiled like I'd brought her a puppy. Ben, what are you doing here? And in that moment, that smile, that warmth, I hated myself for doubting her. I was wrong, I thought. I'm paranoid. Maybe work has just been stressful. Maybe this is all in my head. We had dinner together that night. She laughed at my dumb jokes. I rubbed her shoulders. We even ended up back in her room, reconnecting like we used to when the kids were little and life wasn't so damn busy all the time. I went to bed that night feeling stupid but relieved. The next morning, while she was in the shower, I opened her bag looking for aspirin. I found condoms. A six-pack. One missing. And just like that, the whole night rewound in my head with new context. Every kiss. Every smile. Every, I've missed you. All of it, a smokescreen. That's when something inside me cracked. The drive home that morning was quiet. Too quiet. I didn't turn on the radio. Didn't call anyone. Didn't even stop for coffee. Just white lines on the road, a wheel in my hands, and the sound of my thoughts chewing me up from the inside. Lena texted me an hour after I left the hotel. Hope your meeting went okay. I miss you already, red heart. Another heart. Another lie. I didn't respond. I couldn't. I needed space, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. And truth be told, I wasn't sure what I would say even if I wanted to. By the time I pulled into our driveway, the kids were already gone for school. Chloe had band practice. Eli had his spelling test. I had a headache and a drawer full of questions with no answers. I walked into the house like I was sneaking into someone else's life. Everything looked normal, coffee cups still in the sink, Lena's robe slung over the chair, Eli's soccer cleats by the door. But it all felt wrong. Like a stage set built for a play I didn't audition for. I dropped my bag in the foyer and went to our bedroom. Sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. And for the first time in years, I cried. Not loud, not dramatic. Just sat there, eyes burning, trying to understand how we got here. I'm not perfect. I know that. I've spent too many nights working late, too many weekends zoning out on my phone when I should have been present. I've forgotten birthdays, ruined dinners, said the wrong thing in the wrong tone at the wrong time. But I've never lied to her. Never betrayed her. And now all I could see was that stupid silver foil wrapper peeking from the corner of her bag like it was mocking me. All I wanted was the truth. Later that day, Lena came home. She walked in like she always did, kicked off her heels, dropped her purse, called out, "Ben?" I brought Ty. Like nothing had happened. Like we were fine. I didn't say anything at first. Just watched her from the kitchen doorway as she unpacked spring rolls and curry into little white bowls like we were about to sit down for movie night. "You're quiet," she said, glancing at me. I nodded. "Just tired." She walked over, leaned in, and kissed my cheek. Soft, familiar. Too familiar. "Long week, huh?" she asked, rubbing my shoulder. I wanted to scream. "Long week? You cheated on me. You lied. You looked me in the eye and said you missed me, while someone else's cologne was still probably on your skin. But I didn't." I nodded again. "Yeah, real long." We ate in silence. I pushed noodles around my plate, pretending to listen as she talked about her coworker's ridiculous PowerPoint and how the conference food was surprisingly decent this year. She laughed at her own story. I didn't. That night, lying in bed beside her, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling fan spinning lazily above us while she breathed evenly next to me, like someone who had nothing to hide. I thought about checking her phone. I really did. But that's not who I wanted to be. If I had to go digging for the truth, then we were already broken. Still, I couldn't shake the thought. The question. The gnawing doubt. Who was he? The condoms meant she planned for it. This wasn't an accident. Was it someone from work? Someone she met at the conference? Was it someone I knew? Was he older? Younger? Did she laugh at his jokes more than mine? Did he make her feel beautiful? Alive? Did she look at him the way she used to look at me? The next day, I called in sick. I didn't have the stomach for spreadsheets or small talk. I needed clarity. Something concrete. So I did something else I'd never thought I'd do. I drove to Lena's office. I'd been there before, the occasional holiday party, drop-offs when her car was in the shop. But that day, I walked in like a stranger. I told the receptionist I was here to surprise my wife. Brought her lunch, I said. She smiled, waved me through. Lena's cubicle was empty. Her laptop was there, screensaver flickering. Her jacket draped over the chair. And then I heard it, her laugh, coming from the break room just down the hall. I walked slowly, careful, like every step might shatter something. She was standing by the coffee machine with a man I'd never seen before. Tall, confident, nice suit, way too much gel in his hair. They weren't touching, not even close. But the way she smiled at him, it was different, intimate, familiar, like a language I no longer spoke. She didn't see me, and I didn't stop. I turned around, walked back to the elevator, and left. I didn't confront her, didn't explode, didn't cry. I just left. Because sometimes silence says more than words ever could. Driving home from Lena's office that day, I wasn't angry. Not in the way you might think. No shouting, no wheel-punching rage. Just this cold, still space inside me, like someone flipped a switch and everything shut down. I didn't even remember the ride. 1 minute, I was in the office parking lot. The next, I was back in our neighborhood, parked at the curb like a guest in my own life. Our house looked exactly the same. But that day, it stopped feeling like home. I sat in the car for a while, watching the sprinkler spin in slow, lazy arcs over the lawn. It felt like I was watching someone else's story unfold. I just happened to be sitting too close to the screen. Eventually, I went inside. Nobody was home. The kids were still at school, and Lena wouldn't be back until 5. I had time, and I had questions. So I made coffee. Strong. Black. The kind you drink when you're about to do something you know you can't take back. Then I went upstairs. I wasn't looking for secrets. I was looking for proof. Not to punish her. Not yet. Just to stop feeling like I was going crazy. Lena's side of the closet was pristine. Too pristine. Like a display in a department store. Everything smelled like lavender and expensive lotion. I never noticed that before. I started with the nightstand. Top drawer, nothing. Bottom drawer, a few receipts, lip balm, a half-used candle she probably bought on a whim. And then I saw it, tucked in the back of the drawer, behind a stack of old magazines, a small, zippered pouch. Leather. Brown. Inside were 2 things. A burner phone. And a hotel keycard. I just stared at them. No fury. No yelling. Just silence. Like finding a fire in your kitchen, but realizing the flames were cold. The danger wasn't in the heat. It was in the implications. The phone was off. I turned it on, knowing full well I shouldn't. But let's face it, we passed that line a long time ago. No passcode. Rookie move. Messages. Not many. Just enough. One stood out. Same room as last time. Can't wait. You looked incredible today. No name. Just a number. I didn't recognize it, but I copied it anyway. Saved it in my own phone under the name Mistake Number 1. I sat on the bed and scrolled for a bit. Not much there. A few photos, nothing graphic, but still, too close. A smile she never gave me anymore. A half glance in a mirror wearing a dress I'd never seen. I powered it off and put it back exactly where I found it. Same position. Same angle. Let her think she's in control. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. You don't show your cards when the game's just begun. And make no mistake, this was a game now. That night, Lena came home right on time. Kissed me on the cheek, poured herself a glass of wine, and kicked off her shoes like a woman with nothing to hide. I studied her the way you study a piece of art you've seen 1,000 times, only to realize it was upside down all along. She asked about my day. I said it was fine. Asked about hers. She said it was exhausting, and then told me about some boring meeting I pretended to care about. We were just 2 actors reading lines we didn't write. After dinner, she took a bath while I helped Chloe with her science homework. Eli wanted help finding his baseball glove, and while I was digging through the hall closet, I heard her phone vibrate on the counter. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. Because I already knew the one that mattered was upstairs, the other phone. The one I wasn't supposed to know existed. Later that night, once the kids were asleep and Lena was brushing her teeth, I stood in the doorway of our bedroom and watched her. She caught my reflection in the mirror and smiled. "You okay?" she asked, rinsing her mouth. I nodded. "Yeah, just tired. You've seemed a little off the past couple days." I shrugged. "Long week." She walked past me and climbed into bed. Same routine as always. Pillow fluffed. Light off. One arm tucked under the blanket. Familiar. Predictable. Rehearsed. But now I was watching everything. Every glance. Every pause. Every breath. And in that moment, I knew two things for sure. One, Lena was lying to me. And two, I was going to find out everything. But I wasn't going to scream or beg or demand. No. This wasn't going to be a shouting match in the kitchen. This was going to be a gentleman's war. Quiet. Strategic. Surgical. And when the truth finally came out, it wasn't going to be because she confessed. It was going to be because I made it impossible for her to keep pretending. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't rage. It's clarity. And I was about to get crystal clear. It started with a pair of heels. Not just any heels. I'm talking 4-inch red stilettos that Lena never wore around me. Not for dates. Not for anniversaries. Not even for weddings. She used to joke they were sitting shoes, too uncomfortable to walk in. So imagine my surprise when I found them scuffed at the tips, the kind of wear that comes from walking a lot. They were in the trunk of her car. I was looking for the jumper cables. Found suspicion instead. Next to the shoes? A black clutch with a small wad of cash. I counted it. $480, all in 20s. No receipts. No ID. Just bills. Now, call me crazy, but that doesn't scream insurance conference. I didn't say anything that night. Didn't mention the shoes, the cash, or the lingering scent in the car, something heavy, unfamiliar. Floral, but sharp. Not her usual perfume. More like something you'd wear to stand out. To lure. I wanted to believe there was a reasonable explanation. But the next morning, something else happened. She left her laptop open on the kitchen table. She was upstairs getting ready, and I'd just finished packing the kids' lunches. The screen blinked to life as I brushed past it. Her email was open. And there, in the trash folder, one message stood out. Subject, same rate, same room. No calls. Just text. Sender, no name. Just a Gmail address. Time, sent 2 nights ago. 11:43 p.m. The body of the message was short. Bring the red. That was it. I just stood there staring at it, like the words might rearrange themselves into something less damning. They didn't. Now, maybe it's nothing. Maybe bring the red refers to a scarf. Or wine. Or some inside joke I'm not in on. But combined with the heels, the cash, the perfume I don't recognize, a different picture started forming in my head, one I didn't want. Not just cheating. Something worse. Something transactional. I started Googling, discreetly, carefully. Burner phones. Cash-only meetups. Common language used in certain circles. I didn't want to believe what I was seeing, but patterns emerged. Phrases like same rate, same room. No calls, they weren't just random. They showed up again and again on forums and message boards that made my stomach turn. I looked at the email again. Short. Cold. Professional. It wasn't written like an affair. It was written like a business deal. That night, I tried to act normal. Lena came home with Thai food again. Smiled like nothing had changed. Said something about Chloe's math teacher being a total disaster. Laughed at her own joke. I just nodded along, heart pounding. I wasn't ready to ask. Not yet. I needed more. But the doubt, it was there now. Heavy. Present. Whispering in my ear as I watched her eat pad thai like we were still two people with the same life. I started watching her differently. Not like a husband. Like a detective. She had patterns. Fridays, she left at 5, but didn't get home until after 8. Always with a new excuse. We went out for drinks, traffic was awful. I stopped by that place you liked, but it was closed. Once, I saw her in the mirror, checking herself out. Full makeup. Lingerie I hadn't seen in years. Just before one of those late drinks. She hadn't worn anything like that for me in over a year. The following week, I followed her. Just once. I needed to know. She didn't go to a restaurant. She went to a hotel. The kind off the interstate. Low profile. Cash accepted. Rooms with outside entrances. She was inside for exactly 72 minutes. I waited in my car. Didn't move. Didn't breathe. When she came out, her hair was different, loosely tied up, makeup faded, walking slower. She didn't see me. Drove off like nothing happened. And then he followed. Not a man I recognized. Mid-50s maybe. Tan trench coat. Hair slicked back like he was trying to rewind time. He didn't touch her. Didn't speak. But there was no mistaking it. They weren't strangers. He waited a few steps behind her, looking at the carpet, hands in his pockets like they'd just closed a deal neither of them wanted to talk about. The elevator opened. They got in. The door closed. And that was it. No music. No drama. Just two people disappearing into a silence I suddenly understood far too well. I waited another 10 minutes before going in. The front desk was empty, just a clipboard and a cheap plastic bell. I rang once. A young man emerged from the back room, shirt half tucked, like I'd interrupted a break he didn't want to return from. Can I help you? I kept my voice calm. Flat. My wife checked in earlier. Room 214. I believe she's left something behind. He hesitated. Name? She uses a different one, I said. Goes by Lena. Red dress. Black clutch. Comes here, often. He looked at me for a long time. Not confused, not even surprised. Just measuring. After a beat, he exhaled. She's not the only one with a story like that, you know. I said nothing. He reached under the counter and pulled out a small ledger. Actual paper. No computer. Flipped through it. Lena, room 214. Checked in at 3:48. Paid cash. Client listed as Mr. H. Reese. He closed the book. Checked out at 6:06. So that was that. Not suspicion. Not theory. Confirmation. I nodded. The clerk lowered his voice. She's not in trouble, man. She's safe. Classy. Professional. No mess. I wanted to hit him. Not because he said anything wrong, but because he said it with sympathy. Like I was just another in a long line of husbands who came in long after the curtains had closed. She ever say why? I asked. He shrugged. They never do. I left without another word. Drove home in silence. No music. No calls. Just my hands gripping the wheel like it was the last thing in my life I could control. When I walked through the front door, dinner was already on the stove. Lena turned from the kitchen, her face lighting up like always. Hey you, she said. I thought you'd be late. Lucky me. I watched her stir the pot. She had changed. Sweatshirt. Slippers. Hair pulled back in a loose knot. She looked like a woman making pasta for her family. Not someone who'd just sold herself for a 90-minute window between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock. How was your day? She asked. I looked at her for a long time. Then I smiled. Same as usual, I said. And that was the moment I knew. She wasn't coming back. Because the version of her I married didn't exist anymore. Or maybe, just maybe, she never did. It was supposed to be a normal Tuesday. She told me she had errands. Something about a nail appointment. Then, maybe stopping by Target. Said I didn't need to wait for her. That she'd be out most of the afternoon. But there was something in her tone. A lightness. A rehearsed kind of casual that made the hairs on my neck rise. So I left work early. Didn't say anything. Didn't even text. Just drove home. The driveway was empty. But the side gate was unlatched. That was enough. I walked through the back. The house was quiet. Too quiet for how warm the day was. No music. No TV. No laundry tumbling in the hallway. I opened the back door and stepped into stillness. I knew, before I took a single step. The air was wrong. The scent hit me first. That mix of perfume and skin and sweat. The kind you know doesn't come from a solo afternoon. I moved through the hallway like a man walking through a museum of someone else's life. Kitchen. Empty. Living room. Silent. Then the bedroom door. Closed. But not locked. And through it, faint sounds. Muffled voices. A low moan. Laughter. Her laughter. I stood there for a second, hand on the doorknob, heart so loud I thought it might give me away. And then I opened it. Not with force. Not with rage. Just opened it. And there they were. Lena. And a man I didn't recognize. She was straddling him. Moving like she hadn't moved in years. Not with me. Her head thrown back. Eyes closed. Her hands pressed against his chest like he was the only gravity she trusted. His hands were on her hips. And both of them, lost. Completely. They didn't hear me. Not at first. I stood there, frozen, watching the woman I married come completely undone in someone else's arms. No love. Just heat. And familiarity. Like this wasn't new. Like this wasn't the first time. She looked alive in a way I hadn't seen in years, like something deep inside her had switched back on for him. And that was the part that broke me. Not the act, not the nudity, not even the betrayal. It was the joy. The way she moved like she'd been waiting for this. Like she had nothing to hide. Like this was the version of her that had quietly died inside our marriage, and now, here she was, resurrected. I could have left right then, but I didn't. I needed her to see me, to feel the weight of what she was doing, not just to me, but to the life we built. So I stepped in, gently, and the door creaked. She turned. Her body stopped moving, just like that. And in her eyes, panic. Cold, sharp panic. The man sat up halfway, confused. "Ben," she whispered, breathless. I looked at her. Naked. Caught. Real. And all I said was, "So this is who you are now." She covered herself with a sheet, pointless at this point, and began to say something. "Wait, Ben, it's not it." "Don't," I said, calm. Too calm. "Don't insult either of us." The man, whoever he was, looked like he wanted to vanish. I turned to him. "You can leave," I said. He hesitated. "Now." He grabbed his things and darted out without looking back. I turned to her once more. She was crying now. Maybe from shame. Maybe because the mask had finally broken. Maybe because she realized she'd crossed a line that didn't come with a return policy. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I just nodded toward the bed. "I hope it was worth everything," I said quietly. And then I walked away, not just from the room. From the whole version of life I thought I was living. Because once you see someone's true face, not the one they show you, but the one they wear when they think you're gone, you can never unsee it. Revenge is a funny thing. Most people think it's loud, red-faced shouting, broken glass, scorched earth. But real revenge? It's quiet. It's watching someone think they've won and letting them, until the floor drops out from under them. I drove that night. No destination. Just miles. I needed space to think. And when you've just watched your wife in bed with another man, your brain becomes very, very sharp. By the time I pulled into the old overlook just outside town, the plan had already started writing itself. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to dismantle her life, one careful thread at a time. Not because I'm vindictive, but because some people only understand consequences when they're forced to live in them. And Lena? She was about to meet the version of me she'd never seen. Not the husband, not the provider. The engineer. The man who solves problems. And right now, she was a problem. Step 1 was control. We had a joint account. 3, actually. 1 for bills. 1 for savings. 1 for house stuff. The next morning, before she was even awake, I logged in and redirected the automatic deposits from my paycheck into a new private account she didn't know existed. Left just enough in the joint to keep the lights on. Step 2, information. I copied her burner phone back up to my laptop weeks ago. Messages. Contacts. Calendar. Everything. I knew names. Locations. Recurring clients. Payment patterns. She thought she was being careful. She wasn't. Step 3, leverage. I met with a lawyer that afternoon. Not just any lawyer. Stuart Glassman, a guy who made his name chewing through white-collar fraud cases and divorce court like a chainsaw through butter. I showed him the files. He didn't blink. "She's an escort?" he asked. "No," I said calmly. "She's my soon-to-be ex-wife." He leaned back. "We can work with this." We drew up a strategy. Full custody. Asset freeze. Protection of the house, deeded in my name, thanks to my mother's early gift. Step 4, exposure. Controlled. Legal. Measured. I wasn't going to tell everyone. Just the right people. Her parents, who still thought she was running consulting workshops. Her job, which definitely had a morality clause buried in their HR handbook. Our friend group, the one she still lied to weekly. I wouldn't say a word. I just let a few screenshots speak for themselves. And last, step 5. The final blow. I'd wait. Until the moment she thought she'd gotten away with it. Until the moment she looked me in the eye and thought I was still broken. Then I'd hand her the envelope. The one with everything. The divorce papers, the evidence, the custody motion, the bank transfers. Neat. Clean. Tied with a bow. And I wouldn't say a word. Because the best part of revenge isn't the moment they fall. It's the moment they realize they'd built the trap themselves, and all you did was let them walk into it. The strange part was how peaceful the morning felt. Lena was humming in the kitchen, some soft, wordless tune she always used to sing when she was pretending to be happy. Eggs in the pan. Coffee brewing. Her hair tied up with one of Chloe's old scrunchies like nothing in the world was wrong. Like we weren't standing on opposite sides of a grave she dug with her own hands. She handed me a cup of coffee like we were still normal. I thought we could take a walk later, she said, casual, light. Talk. Get some air. I took the mug. Sure, I said. Later. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek. And I let her. Because she had no idea what was coming. She still thought I was grieving. That I was stuck somewhere between denial and numbness, clinging to old memories, trying to process what she'd done. She didn't know I'd already finished processing, and what I'd found on the other side was clarity. She left around 11:30. Said she was running to Target. I knew better. The texts told me everything. She had a standing Thursday appointment with a client named Marcus, retired, rich, discreet. She'd be gone exactly 2 hours. That was all the time I needed. The moment her car turned the corner, I got to work. First, I grabbed the 2 envelopes I'd prepared days ago. One white, one black. The white one was for court, divorce papers, custody filings, bank transfers, notarized statements, screenshots of text messages, timestamped photos. The black one was more personal. My goodbye. I placed both folders neatly on the kitchen table, next to her untouched coffee. Then I went upstairs and packed her things. Not everything. Just the essentials, clothes, toiletries, laptop, her fake name burner phone, and one framed photo, the one of her and the kids at the beach, before she became someone else. Everything else stayed. This was still my house, legally, financially, and morally. She had no right to anything more. I carried the bags down and placed them outside the front door. Next to them, a single sheet of paper taped to the handle. Lena, your belongings are here. You may not re-enter the house. The locks have been changed. My lawyer has filed the restraining order request with the court. Your access to joint accounts has been revoked. You will be contacted formally regarding custody and division of assets. Do not return. Do not call. All further communication will go through counsel. Ben. Cold? Maybe. But not cruel. She made her bed. I was simply making sure she wouldn't lie in mine again. By 1:50 p.m., I heard her car pull in. I didn't hide. I stood in the front hallway, out of sight, just behind the door, where I could hear everything. The car door opened. Footsteps. Then the pause. I imagined her standing there, blinking at the 2 bags on the porch like they were misplaced luggage. Then the paper. Then the folders on the kitchen table through the window. Silence. Then the knock. Soft at first. Ben. I didn't answer. Another knock. Louder. Ben. Opened the door. Still nothing. I heard her try the knob. Locked. The electronic chime from the smart lock beeped low, access denied. I had already removed her from the system. More knocking. Ben, what is this? I stayed quiet. Then came the shift, the pleading. Please. Talk to me. This isn't fair. You can't just. But I could. And I did. Then the voice cracked. You're overreacting. You're angry. I get it. But we need to talk like adults. That word again. We. As if that still existed. I stepped into view, just behind the glass panel beside the door. She saw me. Her expression twisted, a mix of disbelief and dawning horror. She reached for the handle again. Ben, come on. You're not serious. I held up a single finger, then pointed down at the bags, then to the street. She shook her head. This is my home, too, she said, voice rising. No, I said, finally speaking. It was. Before you invited strangers into our bed. Ben, please. You walked out the day you sold yourself for attention, I said. This house belongs to the man who kept it standing, and you don't get to stay in something you dismantled. Tears now. Real ones, maybe. Or just well-practiced. I didn't want to hurt you, she whispered. You didn't want to get caught, I said. Then I turned the lock, not to let her in. To walk away from the door. I'll be contacting your parents, I added. To come get you. I figured it's better than the sidewalk. She didn't answer. I closed the curtain. She stayed on the porch for a while after that. I could hear her breathing. Pacing. One last knock. Then the car door opened. And she was gone. No dramatic exit. No final scream. Just the sound of tires rolling away, and the air finally clean.